the USC fight, during one of the walkouts, somebody in the crowd wearing a mask put their phone in front of the camera, showing one of their victims, and people think that that person is a serial killer.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
So this is the fighter that walked out, right? It's one of the prelims. Look, his hand goes out, and he shows a picture of a body, blood, and somebody that looks like they've been hurt.
Whoa.
Lying down, a detached door. There's a doorknob. So something weird is happening in that photo, right?
Yeah.
Now, it gets really, really weird because he was masked.
Can I see the mask?
He was the only person in the crowd wearing a mask. He's wearing a Rey Mysterio mask. But look at him.
Oh, this looks like...
But look at his face. Like, he looks crazy just by looking in his eyes. You can tell he's like someone deranged.
We gotta make one thing clear. People don't just walk away from a position of power unless it's something very, very wrong. So listen to this. Dan Bongino is leaving the FBI in January. And they want everybody just to think this is just business as usual. Really, bruh? Come on now. You don't get this close to the system and understand and know what's going on behind them closed doors and just decide one day, yeah, I'm done. So I gotta ask the question. What made this man leave? What really made this man want to step away? Was it pressure? Was it a disagreement about something they didn't want to go public? Was it that he realized he can't fix a system that don't want to be fixed? Or did he see something that made him be like, nah, I'm not with this shit? Y'all gotta understand, when you stop playing along with stuff, you become the problem. When everybody else is in and you're not, you're the problem. And when you are the problem, the system gives you two options: to either opt in or opt out. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down below in the comments. And do y'all think this man's just stepping away because he's done with it, or y'all think it's something deeper? All you gotta do is go look at his little fellow partner, Cash Patel. His face has been
Have you
telling
heard
what I'm
of
saying.
apes?
No.
I heard about it from a Joe Rogan podcast. It's these group of apes that live in the Congo, but they're abnormally huge chimpanzees. The rumor is when they walk up on their two legs instead of like how a monkey usually walks. 6 feet tall. And their nickname is the Lion Killers because they supposedly kill lions and eat them.
Dude, they are scary.
They're confused by them because their heads aren't fully shaped like a chimpanzee's, but they have features of gorillas. They're almost saying it's like a mixed race between chimpanzees and gorillas.
Oh, that's scary.
It's like Caesar from Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
No!
Oh, dude, no!
And there's a 6-foot ape just standing there on its hind legs just looking at you. What would you do?
Dude,
My heart would stop.
I would immediately
Start dancing.
I would dance until...
Well, why do so many scientists who discover or work on clean energy suddenly find themselves killed? Well, this is a strange story. Nunu Laero, he was until yesterday MIT's leading nuclear fusion scientist. His plasma research led to incredible clean energy breakthroughs, clean tech, no fossil fuels. He was murdered at his home on Monday. Here is the news report. Shot dead at 47 years old, Nunu Laero. Am I saying that right? The Portuguese?
Lareiro.
I know. I was practicing it all morning. Laero.
Lareiro.
Yeah, and I lived in Portugal for 5 years, and you think I'd be able to nail it. Anyway, he's from Lisbon, originally. One could argue, like Tesla before his ultimate untimely death, that Nunu's plasma physics research could have changed the world. You could argue that. Sources have confirmed, to redacted, that he had made a few energy giants very nervous. Turns out that he's not the first MIT fusion scientist to suddenly be murdered in his home. In 1989, Eugene Malov exposed a cold fusion cover-up by the Department of Energy and MIT itself. There he is. He even wrote a book about it called Fire from Ice, searching for the truth behind the cold fusion furor. Before he was murdered, he talked about how threatening this research was to the powers that be.
What we really had was a threat to the scientific establishment. The threat of it even being implied as real and having monies, shall we say, being diverted from their favored programs, and that was a threat. It was real. Overwhelmingly compelling, as I said, in Fire from Ice. It was real. Now it's 100% certain.
Interesting. Overwhelmingly real. Meanwhile, so coincidence? What did Nunu know Andrew Goff is a former History Channel host, researcher, investigator. He's also the host of Conspiracy Hour on Unified TV, and he joins me now. Andrew, great to see you. Thank you for doing this.
It's great to be on the show. Thank you.
So
this is a very disturbing story, is it not?
It is, and when you think about the laundry list of individuals, I was speaking to a source today, said it's very, very sad because, you know, look, there's a long list of individuals who've gotten very close to the sun, so to speak, where we might have free energy, and suddenly these people are murdered, or they disappear, or they're locked up and thrown behind in jail. What do you make of this?
Yeah, it's just the latest in a long line of similar incidents, right? So anybody who has a cure for a disease, it can be cancer, it could be almost anything. It could be the individuals who find out how to power automobiles with water, not gasoline.
You know, we went from the Model T to damn near flying cars in under 100 years. How is that possible? No one still is explaining how FaceTime even works. It's a lot of things they keep hidden. The problem is, declassified docs showed that the CIA ran a program to track humans with hybrid alien DNA in their body. They track these people. These people are part of that private sector of people who control the world, the international bankers. Same thing, bro. It all boils down to this. And whatever entities that they're dealing with, you got to make sacrifices and exchanges for them for whatever. Is it technology? Is it power, information? Same thing over and over.
But there seems to have been a ramp up of, in the past year and a half, of information, disinformation. They're pumping so much stuff that all of it seems plausible at the same time, but it's so much and it's so different from the mainstream narrative that we've always thought of what our existence actually is.
They don't want you to know about supernatural beings because they serve them. If you know about it, then you on the same level as them. These beings don't give a fuck. They don't care. You feel me? They look at us all as the same.
Calls into question a lot of what geology courses teach today. It was filmed in Brazil. It just broke on Twitter. These guys crack open this, what looks like a rock, although it has a bit of a grain pattern to it, almost like wood. They crack it open. It's not obsidian. They already did an analysis on it. This is absolutely not obsidian. The going theory for this crazy-looking thing is petrified tree sap from the ancient giant trees that were all around the earth before they got cut down by the 200 angels that God sent down to cut down before the freaking giants could climb them before the flood. If that lore doesn't get...
So I'm just gonna say it, I think. I don't think we were fed the exact truth behind what happened with the Mustache Man. And it's my opinion that I don't think we were told the truth behind why he did the things he did. And it's also my opinion that I don't think he was doing exactly what they told us he was doing. And if he was, then I think he may have had a better reason than what they're telling us. Now, we know that school is intentional brainwash, and they don't want a nation of thinkers, they want a nation of workers. And we know that our history is mostly a lie, and history is written by the winners. So I believe there was a sob story invented with the intention of making us all feel bad and have pity on the juice boxes. Now, I don't want to say out loud who our true enemy is right now, but you know who they are. And from what we're all gathering as of lately, they've always been our enemy. And then back then, when that was all going on, that happened to be the Mustache Man's enemy. And by the way, Kanye doesn't look so crazy anymore, does he? So basically, I just think that the Mustache Man may have just been portrayed as a villain when he may not have been. And think about how much we were taught about this in school. Like, and for what? For what reason would we be taught all of this stuff in school if it wasn't just for a narrative?
It was making rounds on Reddit and other forums, and people everywhere were losing it. The photo showed what looked like a pitch-black werewolf crouched and crawling up a staircase. People believed it was real. The angle, the lighting, the posture, everything about it screamed found footage of something we weren't supposed to see, and panic posts flooded the comments section. But the truth is, it wasn't real. After several investigations, it was discovered that this so-called werewolf wasn't a creature at all. If you look closely at the front limb, you'll notice that it looks like hands. That's because the figure wasn't a beast, but rather a custom werewolf suit. The suit was created by a costume designer, bought and used to stage the photograph. Credit where it's due, They did nail it. It was terrifyingly realistic, especially in 2012, when photo editing and AI manipulation weren't as advanced as today. Now looking back...
When Morpheus holds up the battery in the Matrix and he says, "We are the source of energy," I finally understand what you mean. When the guys made the Matrix, they knew exactly what they were talking about. Wherever they got their information from is very, very interesting. The manipulated history that we find seems to be created and recreated for us on an ongoing basis. And this is what's becoming a little disturbing, but at the same time not surprising, what's going on here. There are places that we don't know about, that we should know about, like the Towers of Bologna in Italy. This is a drawing from the 1700s. How many of you have seen the Towers of Bologna? That until 200 years ago, the city of Bologna had more than 200 towers, up to 50 meters tall. They're all gone. And then suddenly you start stumbling upon an empire that until the late 1800s was a well-known empire across the world. You look at the old maps and you see the Tartarian Empire, one of the most important global empires, and then suddenly gone. We hear nothing about Tartary and the Tartarian Empire and what happened to them. And you start seeing that history is literally changing right under our eyes. Recent history, it's like just being wiped out. We know nothing about it. You see evidence of these things all over the place. You see very large buildings that, you know, with the 2 or 3 bottom floors are just completely covered in mud, and then they just leave them like that, and they create the entrance on the higher floors to that same building. The reason I'm bringing this up is that if the news that we have coming from the media is fake, imagine how wrong all of our history is. And all of this, the fake news and this potentially fake history, is just adding to the great human puzzle and making us even more confused about who we are, where we come from, and why we're here. You know, institutions keep telling us that the ancients were primitive, and they looked something like this. And they built countless megalithic structures with their very primitive tools, like we can build them today. And they left behind these incredible places from times that we cannot remember. And we have no idea when these things actually happened. Some of them we speculate, and we're probably very wrong. And they dragged large blocks up mountains and built platforms. And you go to Mount Sharia in Siberia, and it's just ridiculous. I mean, look at the size of these blocks and these structures in Siberia. Realize that wherever you go in the world, there are mysterious ancient civilizations, and we really don't know much about the motive. We recognize what they've done. We're surprised by what they've done. Carving entire cities out of bedrock like this, platforms like this, and underground structures like this that are covered in Egypt just to hide it. And Borobudur, which is just obviously such a powerful, resonating thing. Anyone that knows anything about sound and resonance takes one look at this and go, okay, I know exactly what they do.
100%. Look at these giant bells. Half of this stuff I've never seen before, and they're hiding it from us. I feel like every history teacher should be showing us this. Not some Boston Tea Party in Mayflower. Come on, I want to learn about this stuff.
What's interesting, as you may have noticed, many of these places, if not all of them that you've just seen, and there are countless more, all of them seem to be in the Northern Hemisphere. And that is a huge mystery. But unfortunately, the discovery of the ancient ruins of Southern Africa has just now completely blown that apart. Because now that is no longer the case. And the attention has shifted to the ancient ruins of South Africa and Southern Africa. The stone circles of Southern Africa have become one of the most interesting, mysterious, and unbelievable discoveries of ancient archaeology, ancient civilizations, not just because they are so amazing to look at and remarkable, but because they opened a door and they gave us very important clues as to what the ancient civilizations were doing and what technology they used. And that's actually been a big breakthrough to get to a deeper understanding of how smart and advanced the ancient civilizations were. And when you start noticing these flower-shaped structures, that's when it gets really interesting. Notice that these are not standalone structures. They're all connected by these channels that connect them, thousands of miles of channels, like they look like wires that connect all stone circles together. And then you can see that weird spider's web effect around it. No stone circle stands alone. They're all connected in this very large grid. And basically what you're looking at here is what has now been identified or recognized as the largest cluster of stone ruins anywhere on Earth. How many are there? More than 10 million of these structures throughout South Africa and Zimbabwe. It is quite staggering. 10 million is not a small number.
I've never heard about that.
This is an insanely huge number. When we get to the reason why they did this, I think this is when it starts to get really interesting. Important thing, no doors and entrances. There are several archaeological drawings that clearly show us no doors and entrances, clustered together like grapes. The channels connecting them all together, like I've showed you, everything is connected. What kind of stones are we dealing with here? And this is where it all starts to point us in a very interesting direction. It's a special kind of stone known as hornfels. It's a black stone. It looks like this. It's black on the inside, and then on the outside it's got this reddish-brown skin that grows very, very slowly. A few thousand years per microscopic layer. That's how long it takes for this patina to grow. So if you've got tools or artifacts made out of this black rock, and the tools and artifacts are covered in patina, then you have to assume or conclude that the tools and artifacts were made a long, long time ago, not just a few hundred or a few thousand years ago, because that's not how the patina grows. So the patina in this is a very important way for us to not evaluate exactly or date the stones, the tools, but to give us an idea of how old they are. And we know that based on that, they're very, very old. The other important thing is that the stones ring like bells, and it was really at the moment that I discovered that these stones have acoustic properties and they ring like bells that everything changed. I no longer looked at the stone circles as cattle kraal or dwellings. I suddenly realized that we're dealing with sound. Sound, the primordial source of all things. Infinite energy, what Nikola Tesla probably used. Sound that levitates. And now we got sound coming out of the stone walls, of the stone circles. That's a great breakthrough. But what are we dealing with here? What are the stones made of? They're made of silica, people. Silica. Most of the content of these stones, what are they made of? 90% of most of the stone on this planet is made of silica. Sandstone is virtually pure silica. So here we have advanced technology used in ancient sites. The most advanced technology today is all silicon-based technology. Silica has memory. It contains knowledge. It contains information. It conducts sound and light. It stores light and sound and information and stores energy. In Southampton University, they're experimenting now with tiny little crystals that store up to 350 terabytes of information, one tiny little thing. But I can tell you that crystals like that will actually store infinite amount of information. The other important thing is that these structures are not just memory banks, they're actually giant machines. Giant machines that are activated by light and by sound. What were these stone circles for? I think you start seeing what these patterns are all about. This is the cymatic pattern for the shape of the sound ah on a metal plate will make this beautiful sound. And you realize that each one of these stone circles is just a cymatic pattern of the sound of planet Earth at that specific point. This is a representation of the sound frequency right there. So each one of these is a plug point, an energetic plug point into Mother Earth, becoming an energy generating source and multiplying that frequency and that energy.
Nick! Yell if you need help. I'll call someone for you.
This video
I ain't going in
documents
there.
something terrifyingly real.
I'll call someone
At
for you.
night, a cornfield
took the
may
wrong
exist
partner
as a
out there.
completely different space. This happened in the United States. A man named Nick and a woman drove to a remote cornfield late at night for a task. When they arrived, the woman stayed in the car. Nick walked into the cornfield alone. At first, everything felt normal. She could hear him moving, corn stalks shifting, footsteps going deeper inside, and then everything went silent. She started calling his name again and again. No response. She waited over 10 minutes, then got out to search. She looked everywhere nearby. Nick's nephew joined the search that same night. No one found him. Nick had completely vanished inside that cornfield until the next night when the woman returned. And this time, Nick walked out of the cornfield by himself. But what happened after he got into the car was far worse. Part 2 is where it stops
Here's what
making
appears
sense.
to be a fish in a dimly lit murky tank. But this is no ordinary fish. At first glance, it looks like something you'd find in a horror-themed aquarium exhibit. The way it floats there, motionless in the shadowy water, feels unsettling. People online have used this exact clip in countless horror edits, labeling it as one of those abandoned aquarium horrors, but believe it or not, this creature is real. It's said to be a dolphin, but not the kind you're used to see, smiling and leaping through the waves at sea parks. This one is a species rarely seen, possibly sick or simply aged in captivity, which may explain its haunting appearance. Without the vibrant lighting and ocean spray, what we see is this. And what is even more unsettling is that no one really knows the origin of this image to this day. So would you want to come face to face with this in a darkened aquarium? Scientists have developed a robot, or rather an army of robots. These things are no bigger than ants. They're only about 600 micrometers tall. That's smaller than a grain of salt. But don't let their size fool you, because what they lack in size, they make up for in teamwork, just like real ants. These micro-robots swarm, coordinate, and work together to complete tasks. Researchers have already tested them doing things like unclogging a tube, breaking an electrical circuit, and even moving across obstacles by literally launching themselves off each other. Yeah, they throw themselves over barriers to get to the other side. And they move by using electromagnetic fields, gliding and darting across surfaces with eerie precision. Everything about them is designed to mimic real ants. They're sent to help in a lot of fields.